seemed to keep them at their regular strength, but they still looked really solid coming to the end. TeamNut, they've only just, in the very last series, I would say, started to look reasonable, and that last series was against this team, against the A-Team.
Yeah.
So TeamNut, let's hope that they took the lessons they learned from their first series and are going to bring it into this second one. So you can see here, Kaito coming in here. Uncle G was removed from the HGC China League for the rest of the year due to an altercation in the player area. He was completely banned from play.
Exactly, and for those of you who are watching this for the first time, who are new to HGC China, these numbers below the player portraits, they refer to the role and the overall performance these players have had. So if you're a support and you see that number, that is average healing done per game. If you're an assassin, average damage dealt per game. And if you're a tank, that means average damage taken, absorbed, tanked per game. So it's really cool to see, like, if you want to compare teams within a team, for example, who's been the more successful assassin so far, for example. This is a really nice gimmick that we have here. And as Tetris said, both teams weakened a little bit in terms of their actual roster. But if you look at those numbers here, the KDAs, the average takedowns per game, those teams are very, very evenly matched.
But even though that TeamNut, actually, if you look at the KDA especially, are a little bit ahead, not much, but a little bit ahead, you still see the fact that the Chinese commentators, when we saw them a little bit earlier, they actually leaned towards the A-Team, and I am one to agree with them. The A-Team have gone from strength to strength, even with a tank player swap. Even though Kaito is very limited, it seems to be stuck almost on the Diablo and basically nothing else. They're still able to play to pretty effectively and still work around. Still work around a lot of strategies. Whereas TeamNut, they finally seem to have found a comp that works for them, swapping 7 Milk from the support onto the melee flex role, which is so risky. I really don't like it. In my brain says this is the worst idea, but it's the one that's working best for them. So TeamNut, if they had a chance to do it, if that's the roles that they are sticking with, this is the time.
And I think this is basically, like you mentioned it during the KDA comparison, for example, like this is basically the story of this entire series. Whereas TeamNut, ever since the departure of Fei, have gone downhill a little bit, you know, losing more games, having more one-sided results against them. Is Team A-Team, who's kind of like on a climb right now, because they seem to have adapted really well to that playstyle of Kaito. And as you said, although he's almost always on the Diablo, he still has fit in quite nicely. And that's the difference, I think, between those two new players. Like 7Milk is a complete stranger. We have not seen him in professional play before, whereas Kaito, he's actually quite the veteran in HGC China, so he knows more about how to play as a professional.
He's played for Team KT in the past in this role, so he has a lot of stuff. Just quickly, I did say before the series started, but do we have similar sync issues, or
I think we can find that out here now. So I'm currently sitting at 710.
Yeah, I'm at 635, and I can't get higher.
I'm pretty sure I can get there.
Okay, but we do commentate this off of a clean feed that is delivered to us by the production team. So this is why we do sometimes have to do this if the clean feed has lags or issues.
And I'm now sitting at 6.2.
Perfect. Now then, we jump into the draft. We already have, in the triple ban phase, which is what we are sitting in, the Zeratul and the Decade Kane removed from the side of TeamNut, and the A-Team getting rid of Genji and Phoenix. Very assassin-favored, and no time being wasted at all. We see the Malfurion being picked up, and the immediate response is a little bit of anti-healing in the form of Malthael, if he wants to stick with that. Or we have the Jada, lots of slows, etc.
Yeah, and I think Malthael is a very interesting hero to look at the moment. Not only, as you said, does he provide the anti-healing, which is amazing against heroes like Malfurion, or all supports, actually, but also with the current meta focusing so much onto two very high HP tanks, Muradin and Diablo. Those are normally the two get-goes, if they're available. Malthael counters both of those quite nicely, not only because of his percentage damage, but also because of the last rights, potentially. Like, there's nothing better than, you know, a last rights to deal with a 50, 40, 30% Muradin or Diablo. You basically don't give them time to heal back, but you execute them immediately.
Tassadar being banned away by the A-Team, very sensible. The Tracer already on the board, with also Blaze already there. Even with those bunker cooldown increases, the Tracer she's not as popular as she used to be. Obviously, she got nerfed as well. Reyna being removed. I wouldn't have been surprised to see Reyna over Tracer. It's an interesting choice by TeamNut to go for that Tracer so quickly. So immediately we see some aggression coming in from the A-Team. They've removed one of the best protection tools for the Tracer. The bunker cooldown's quite high. Tracer herself has been a little bit nerfed. They have anti-healing from Malthael. This is all right now about blowing up that Tracer and making sure she gets 0 value.
And Tetra, I'm not sure if you can pick a Muradin here right now if you're TeamNut. Like, sure, Muradin is still a very, very good tank, but it could be a 7-sided Kharazim, which has worked very well against those aggressive warriors. And they do not go for the Muradin. Indeed, they go for the Tyrael, which has shields to protect himself a little more. Kind of like a pseudo replacement for the Tacitor with the Tracer as well, do you think?
Possibly. It's extra protection. It's not. My thoughts were going a little bit towards maybe ETC or Muradin, like you already mentioned the Muradin yourself. They needed something to peel for Tracer, something to punish the fact that Kharazim and the Diablo are going to potentially be diving pretty deep. Now we see Cassia as well. We know that that was basically true. So the reaction was 2 very solid heroes. To start as the Tyrael, extra protection for starters, with a good identification and extra shielding is very good. If Tracer stays back, maybe goes for an untouchable build, could really gain value that way in terms of dancing around the fight and maybe out-microing Cassia as opposed to diving deep, getting stunned, and just wrecked. The other hero here that they have picked up is the Tychus, which is superb. You once again have 2 heroes who are diving very aggressively, very effectively. 3 if you count Malthael. So you need a hero who, for starters, has great sustain, which with Tychus you have double armor. The only person who really gets through that at this point is either 7-sided strike on the Kharazim or the Malthael. And you have a great amount of turnaround potential with the Odin for huge bursts of siege damage, the overkill, which allows you to chase without having to stutter step, which is great efficiency, and the grenade is a great disruption tool. It's very punishing for dive compositions, which is why, as the response to the A-Team, the Cassia is superb. It's against double auto attackers. It's very punishing to that more static playstyle of Tychus until he gets that overkill out. And if he gets overkill out and overextends, Diablo can very much punish, and at least Cassia is still drawing attention there.
All right. So Tetra went through a very thorough analysis of that draft. I'm liking it already. And let's see which of the teams is going to reign supreme here in the first game of the day. It is TeamNut on the left-hand side, rocking the blue trunks with No on that Tracer. Tyrael's being played by FS. 7Milk on the Blaze, and Oasis playing the Tychus, and last but not least, a Tui on the Malfurion.
Keeping 7Milk on those bruisers. Here we have the A-Team with Jaina on Jaina, Olele on Cassia, Bruiser on the Malthael, Stukov on Kharazim, and Kaitu is playing the Diablo.
Tetra, what if, like, Stukov, the player of the A-Team, right, has the ST in his name all capitalized? What if it was Saint Ukov all the time?
Would that still not be SNT? Oh, no, ST? ST can be
ST. Like, if you look at like all the mountains and all the saints' names, it's normally ST. We're still going to make a saint out of him. But it would certainly be easier for us to cast and less confusing for the viewers, because, as you guys know, in China, sometimes the players, they like to name themselves after heroes. But
we have a quick pause so we can discuss this. In fact, we have chat up. Chat, if you believe we should keep calling him Stukov for maximum confusion and hilarity value, press 1. If you think we should change him to Saint Ukov, please press 2. Type in your answers now.
Saint Ukov, the patron of all, the patron of all support players. I like it already. All right, so looks like there are some technical issues going down, guys. 1, 2, 3. Oh, it's pretty even. It's very even.
There we go. We have started up again. I'm still seeing it's pretty even. It's pretty close. I'm seeing slightly more 2s. We're going to go with Saint Ukov. So we're jumping into game number 1, and for the moment, very passive play. We didn't see the big group up in mid. We do, however, see a big group up in the little center boss area. See if they could catch anyone on the rotation. The problem was, it was Jaina, and she, not seeing her enemies, took a long rotation. Instead, we see the big punishment onto 7Milk. The A-Team not being anywhere where TeamNut wanted them to be to set up for their own explosive gank, instead getting their solo laner punished.
Yeah, good thing we don't have Ned Pagel yet in Heroes of the Storm, although that would be pretty awesome because they caught one, the A-Team there. And, you know, I think it's a very smart move by the A-Team, not only to focus on 7Milk, but also to basically try to abuse his oftentimes relentless positioning, right? 7milk is always that kind of player that we have highlighted in not the most positive way for TeamNut. He still needs, sometimes it seems, some time to fit in, to get adjusted to the high speed and tempo of the Pro Division. So the A-Team deliberately actually trying to dive him and trying to catch him there was a pretty smart move. Now 7milk looks like he learned
he needs help.
Yeah, he needs help for sure. Blaze is not necessarily the one you want to have with the bruises there early on.
Not until level 7, where you get those incinerated gauntlets, then you can actually burn through camps pretty easy, especially with that adrenaline stim pack. You have a level 1. Until then, little bit of assistance is very welcome. For now, though, you can see that the A-Team have already captured their own bruiser camp. We're going to see TeamNut using a Tui on that Malfurion to time their own bruiser camp so that it's in a defense position. This will likely be just before being under towers if you want the most optimum defense, because that way you're not taking tower damage, but your towers are still helping you with the defense.
All right, and already you can see with that now. Uh-oh, they're going for 7milk again. That was a good stun, though. That was a really good stun by 7milk, interrupting the overpower by Kaito on the Diablo.
Camp's a little slow.
Mm-hmm.
It's close, but it's a little slow. It means it's going to protect the fountain, but that turret is still going to take hits here. So we see the potential gank coming in here. Olele just being super brave and doing so much damage with those charge strikes, really muting the defense a little bit and removing any counter potential, but a Tui quickly fixes that.
For those of you who weren't really watching much HGC China yet, and who are maybe watching for the first time or getting just invested, this phase, TeamNut and A-Team, by the way, those were the two teams that came into the Pro Division through the Crucible. So both teams are now fighting for survival to not, go back in there. Both teams want to, of course, avoid that, and it's kind of like the rivalry, the battle of the bottom two. Now Olele getting zoned out here a little bit by the Malfurion Roots. He gets... Oh, that was a really good lockdown, but reckless positioning a little bit by Olele there as well.
Kaito goes a little bit aggressive. He's got his spell shield on just in case, and as such, it does actually block a Tiger's Grenade with it, so that's very nice. Here comes the tree, putting a little bit of extra pressure on. So far, it looks like this is going to be a fairly even trade, with top going over to TeamNut and mid going over to the A-Team. Karazim, you only have 2 more to go, but he gets blocked out. Diablo going to come in for the attempted guarantee here. But a Tui going to steal the final shots, and Kaito has to pull back.
Yeah, though stealing those last 5 shots on the temple is always a nice thing to do for sure. Bruiser in trouble. The Tracer Bomb connects, and that is another kill in favor of TeamNut, who are postering up strong here. But here comes a full HP Olele on the Cassia and chasing down the Tracer mercilessly.
Everyone's completely split. That was beautiful. So many low health heroes from TeamNut just completely peel off from each other and deny Cassia that multi-man kill she was looking for. Instead, she gets nothing. Good 1-for-0 trade there in favor of TeamNut, who have also, as you can see on your mini-maps here, absolutely crushed this top lane with that temple and with that little mercenary push.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing about Sky Temple in the top lane in the early stages of the game in general. If you are the one who times the bruiser camp a little more wisely, you can actually deal some crippling damage already to the towers, to the gates, and that will basically save you shots from that top temple. So they will go straight up for the fountain and straight for the fort, and as a result, as Tetris said, you can see this top fort heavily damaged for the A-Team. On the flip side, though, you can also see a lot of damage dealt in the middle lane in favor of the A-Team. So here, Diablo goes for an engage onto No, and a squishy Tracer needs to back off immediately, and that is a successful mercenary invade.
Nice little aggressive play coming in here from Kaito. Exactly what we liked to see from him when he was on KT. So really cool to see that returning here. As he begins piling on the pressure to this bot lane. It's got the Siege Giants. The other ones were cleared up pretty quickly by TeamNut, so that was not such a big deal here. But they still need to deal with these as well. 1 tower is remaining here, which is going to be a huge problem, which means that fountain will die as very quickly, assuming that the A-Team can actually gain control of that bottom temple area.
And you saw that orange token there, summoned by Karazim, the Earth Ally. That's going to be such a crucial ability to be on the lookout for. Cassia is already tanky when it comes to dealing with physical damage, right, because of her trade. But put the Earth Ally on top of that, and Tracer plus Tychus are going to have such a hard time actually chipping down Olele on the Cassia, because he's going to be able to absorb so much of the damage. So when you play against a Karazim with those fast attacking heroes like Tracer, for example, you're really going to have to make sure to deal with the Earth Ally. Speaking of dealing with things, Bruiser, outmanned and outgunned there by several members of TeamNut, gets completely shut down.
That he does, and with that, we have level 10s available for the A-Team. We are sticking with that 7-sided strike. Very much like that. Gives another hugely impactful tool to try and force out Sank or force out Bunker without actually having to commit either of your assassins as of yet. It also is going to be one of the few abilities that can burn through the armor that is applied on Tychus, so it puts Tychus in a lot more danger than he would be otherwise. But now, though, TeamNut, they also have their level 10s. They're going to try and set up position onto the objective and start taking the initial shots here. Their fountain is dead, though. They can't afford to take too much harassment because that will just straight up lead to their death. Instead of harassment, they get engaged upon. FS forced back. Nice stun by 7milk. Looking for the counterplay. 7-sided just chugs him, though. Bunker gets deleted super fast by the lightning breath, but 7milk, he did escape. And Kaito does not have the overpower to use onto Malfurion, but they have at least taken control of the temple.
Yeah, that bunker was used a little late there, in my opinion, on the side of 7milk. Like, he basically took 5 or 6 hits from that 7-sider already, dropped down super low in health, and only then used the bunker. But here comes the Tranquility by Malfurion. They're trying to sustain them through this team fight.
Pulse Bomb does not do that much. Sanctification is dropped here as the Odin kites back Bruiser, losing a couple of those Reaper sparks thanks to that Sanctification, as he is in a little bit of a rough position micro-wise, but he's able to retake his positioning behind the Karazim, gets a little bit of extra healing out. Kaito mounts up, they're going to try and run out this Odin, and that looks like it's going to be the end of the fight for TeamNut.
Yeah.
Once they've blown that Odin and the Sanctification, they know their cooldowns are far too long to consistently sustain the fight. They immediately move out to the other lanes. They're going to try and do their own Bruiser camp. Tracer's already soaking mid and actually pushing it up a little bit. They might miss a little bit of XP top lane, but this is a quick value play coming in from TeamNut. However, still, losing that bot fort means that they do come out behind.
Exactly, and you could really see the difference that a healing fountain made. While the A-Team was able to retreat to the healing fountain and reinitiate into that team fight, TeamNut, they didn't have that fountain anymore. They had to go all the way back, basically forfeit this entire objective phase, and as a result now, not only is the bottom four completely destroyed, but look at that. The A-Team is using all that momentum. They're basically invading and stealing the Merc Camp, the Siege Giants of TeamNut as well. That's now going to be 4 Giants that someone needs to be dealing with, because otherwise that bottom keep is going to take some heavy damage. So the A-Team, they're not letting go. They realize, you know what, if we let go right now, if we take off the pressure, then TeamNut can basically defend this in all, you know, serenity and peace. So we're going to keep up the momentum. And already, look at that. 7milk on that Blaze. He's going to have to go there. Tyke is joining as well. And the A-Team is most certainly going to try to make a place in the middle.
Take down the side wall as well. That actually does remove an escape route for some of the heroes here, including the Diablo, but they seem to prefer denying the vision over and getting better engage angles. It's very much an interesting trade-up you have to make in your comms, in your mind, when you do actually kill off those side walls. Here we see the quick clear onto the Bruiser camp, protecting that top 4. It's been tanking through a lot of stuff lately, so good job by A-Team holding that together. Now, that makes it 2 forts down to 0 in their favor.
Yeah, every structure you save on Sky Temple matters, because every one of those structures can absorb a couple of temple shots, which ultimately could prevent your keep lines from taking some additional damage. So that's really well done. All the heroic abilities are ready for now, though, so I think we're going to see another team fight go down in any given moment here. TeamNut is posturing up a little more aggressively, but the flank attempt from Bruiser and Kaito on the Diablo and the Malthael, they're already setting it up.
Bruiser waiting very patiently for before the Tormented Souls. Pulse Bomb's dropped on it, but he's tanking through it. The bunker gets cleared out, but Bruiser does get taken down. You can see the health bars. Malfurion dropped incredibly low as Olele dives forward, picking up the kill as they completely crush through this. Karazim, though, is down. It's actually a 2-for-1. That Odin is wrecking through the front line here with their healer gone. This is a rough position to be in for the
still going.
But this though, as Cassia, like I said, with the turnaround, gets taken out by Tyrael. Diablo goes back in. What? Jaina turns around looking for 7milk.
Gets another one.
And that makes it a 3-for-3. That was a massively risky play by Diablo, but it worked out. Good job, Kaito. Good job, Jaina.
Yeah, that is the power of the Diablo Firestorm build, right? You have so much sustainability once you're sitting on max souls, which Kaito is currently. You see the black soulstone aura underneath him, and he basically knew exactly how much damage he could tank. With that reinitiation that you saw there, he basically paved the way for himself and Jaina to take down even more kills. And with the kills actually happening a little bit later in favor of the A-Team, the slightly longer death timers were now on the side of TeamNut, and already look at that big momentum swing now in favor of the A-Team. Malthael holding the top temple, the remaining members of the A-Team are holding the bottom temple as well. That's double temple shots just like that. The 7-sided goes in into Tyrael. That's a great target for that.
Holy Ground completely zones out Diablo, but he still gets the lightning breath. 7 milk charges forward, does not land it. The Blizzard Slow is really good. Olele will finally drop here. It's up to Jaina again. Look how far back Jaina is. He knows his positioning, he knows he has to play safe, even gives Karazima an escape opportunity. Does he have another one? No, he does not. Kaito will fall here as well. Actually, that light Firestomp build pretty good as he heals up. Here comes the Blizzard. Here comes the Odin. Kaito knows he's dead. He just quickly clears that out. But you see here, he had his souls. The fact he didn't die in the last fight was huge.
Yeah, very huge, actually. Without those souls, obviously, he couldn't have sustained through all that damage. But a little bit of a mistake there by the A-Team, especially Olele on the Cassia. I think his positioning was too aggressive there. He was too far cast off from the rest of his team. And they should have realized that Malthael Bruiser was actually busy capturing, you know, the top tempo all the time. He was also double soaking in the meanwhile. And this is, I think, a boss fight that the A-Team cannot contest, unfortunately. But they still have the fort Tetcher. So I like the patient call, right? They could just defend it. Even if that fort's end up falling, that's not going to be that much of a deal at this point in the game.
See the retreat pings coming out for the rest of the team, just like Kaito. We know you, please don't. You made amazing miracles happen, but it's not worth the risk. As we see them make a little bit, not so much a miracle happen, they're uneven talents. They move in and steal their own camp back, as it was basically taken by TeamNut. Now it begins the defensive play. You can see Holy Ground is on the board here, and that's going to be a great harassment to annoy the rotations of the A-Team. But they move around it, and they begin burning down this boss. Huge damage done before it even reaches the gate.
Yeah, that's of course Malthael's value there as well as skills with the percentage.
It didn't hit the gate once. That's awesome.
It was so close. It reached out its mighty hand and just didn't reach it once, though. Here comes the mercenary attempt, though, by TeamNut. Very successful up to this point. But if you take a look at the minimap, Tetra, right, you still see, despite the last couple of teamfights going pretty much in favor of TeamNut, that overall, in terms of how efficient the teams were on the map, you know, soaking up tempo shots and stuff like that, the A-Team is still in a pretty substantial lead. Top Keep is taking so much damage already.
The biggest issue right now, Top Keep, like you said, is the most damage. This puts it at a big risk as the next temple phase, one of them is top.
Yes.
This is going to be the one the A-Team will prioritize, not just for the keep value, but also due to the fact that their fort's up here. Yeah, it's made out of paper mache. Yeah, it'll go down like 2 hits. But it's still the one that's going to get them the most value, so we will likely see them put some pressure onto it, unless TeamNut get some vision, which they do now have on the majority of the members of A-Team, and see if they can get a push-up. Problem is that Bruiser camp that the A-Team took is in the way. This buys the A-Team some rotational time. They're currently using it to brawl and burn heroics. They burn the lightning breath. I mean, they're alive, so hashtag worth.
Yeah, I guess it's not the worst thing that could happen. The temples haven't even been announced yet, so there should be plenty of time, actually, for this heroic ability to get back off cooldown. Now, Kaito needs to be careful, though. I was going to say, the roots, if that Diablo gets caught there, that could be deadly. The Holy Ground as well is always good to maybe capture someone in front of their own gates. So, it's a good escape there by Kaito. Every member matters right now. Bruiser, by the way, going back in, gets zoned out and gets engaged upon him.
Gets absolutely blown up here, but Sanctification to counter the Tormented Souls. Bruiser is forced back, gets blown up by that bullet spray, and that's going to be the retreat out of TeamNut. They have what they needed. They took the kill, and guess what? They've also almost opened up the entirety of that top lane of the A-Team. That's disastrous for the A-Team because now they are down a member, and that one lane they wanted to try and capture some shots in is going to be stolen away from them because they haven't got enough members to contest it. TeamNut are now going to be the ones harassing a keep.
Yeah, this is pretty much the worst case scenario for the A-Team right now. Such a good pickup there by TeamNut, getting the recklessly positioned Malthael there, executing him as well, and causing a little bit of a delay for the A-Team before they will be able to fight in full strength. But now they realize that one member of TeamNut is currently guarding the top temple, so it would be a 4 versus 4 if they all went in there. And immediately TeamNut is retreating. As Tetra said, all they want to do here is defend the top temple, so their keep will survive yet another day.
But they are going to get the keep of the A-Team here. TeamNut with the great value play, killing off that Malthael, able to kill off the first keep of the game. Catapult pressure will be building up in that top lane for the A-Team. Who do they have to deal with this? They have no global heroes. It's all up to the Malthael on a Pale Horse, or anyone who respawns. Jaina, super fast wave clear, might be able to do it. Cassia, potentially if everything lines up nicely with Fen, she can actually clean pretty quickly. But mostly, Malthael, this is his job.
I think so too, as you said. Jaina, if she's close by, you know, with that superior wave clear or the Malthael because of greater movement and rotation speed on that mount. So yeah, I'm starting to get a little worried now for the A-Team though. It's still an entire level until they can catch up with those Storm tier talents. And look at TeamNut as well. They've got such a power spike right now, especially Tychus with that big red button. He's going to empower his team fights so much more, especially Cassia, who already struggled a little bit, Tetcher. She's going to have to be so careful because those nukes and those abilities that the Odin can shoot now are going to maintain for a longer period of time, and they're going to chunk her health down if positioned recklessly.
It's the A-Team take the defensive position here, not wanting to get themselves chunked down, in fact. Playing a little bit close to their structures, not wanting to die. We even see that nice little cheeky port there out of Bruiser. He pushed up top lane, aka the most risk-filled lane for TeamNut, and then immediately ports back. Very nice play here. Level 20 still not here though. Boss about to spawn. This is a race against time for TeamNut. If they can burn this down before the 18 hits level 20, that is a huge play. And the fact is they can probably do it. Look at the XP count.
Yeah, look at the XP count and also the heroes they have here with Tyrael, Sanctification, and Holy Ground. This should be a very, very safe boss, actually, if they don't lose any members.
They're just going to fight level 19. They're going to move in. Lightning Breath on the board. Olele trying to move in. Holy Ground is beautiful. And down goes Olele. Like you said, easy as pie as they burn forward. Kaito trying to escape, but he is completely isolated. Karazim going to come in for a quick heal, but Root down. Holy Ground down, Kaito is down, and this might be a death push, Kendrick.
And this is certainly going to be a heavy, heavy push against the A-Team. Not only do they have the big red button still raining down Hellfire, but also, most importantly, that big, mean boss is knocking on that keep door. 2 members down, the main tank and one of the main DPS. I don't think they have what it takes to actually chunk down this boss in time. Still sitting at roughly 70% of its health. The core is already starting to take damage. I think that is probably going to be a Tetcher unless the A-Team pulls off a miracle here.
Nice little 7-sided strike to dodge any damage here. Malthael gets absolutely wrecked. And that is going to be game number 1, going over to TeamNut. What a comeback here in the first game of this best of 5 series.
Yeah, that is so huge. And they basically played that so well as well, right?